Friends, in the previous video, we discussed calculation of LTM financials of the company and removing impact of exceptional items from the reported numbers of the company. In this video, we will summarize key events which are responsible for inconsistency in the multiples and how to make adjustment for them. Friends, very often companies in the comparable analysis faces special situations. In such cases, we are required to make adjustment in equity, enterprise value and performance metrics of the company so that we can get consistent multiple. If we don't make adjustment for the special items in the financials of the company or the valuation of the companies, my multiple would be distorted by the impact of special items and they will not be comparable with the other companies. Friends, these adjustments are required for variety of the reasons, and some of the key reasons behind these adjustments are equity dilution. Friends, in case company has committed any dilution in its equity, then this dilution should be considered in the calculation of market value of the equity of the company. Not considering impact of dilution on the equity of the company will understate value of the equity of the company, and accordingly multiple calculated on the basis of this equity will be distorted. We have already discussed calculation of dilution at length in the previous video. Non-operating investments. Non-operating investments values are subtracted from calculation of operating EV as performance matrix, say sales EBIT EBITDA, with which we are going to relate this operating EV, does not include any earnings from non-operating assets. So, if you don't exclude non-operating investments from the operating EV, then my numerator will not be comparable with denominator, as denominator does not include any earnings from the non-operating investments, whereas numerator will include value of non-operating investments. Latest 12-month financials of the company. Friends, as we are calculating equity and enterprise values as on valuation date, so accordingly financial metrics, say sales, EBIT, EBITDA, net income, are also calculated on the basis of latest available 12-month financials of the company till valuation date. So we are comparing latest value as on date with respect to the latest financials reported by the company as on valuation date. Exceptional items. Friends, impact of exceptional items is adjusted on the reported financials of the company so that we can get consistent multiple. If we don't remove impact of exceptional items, my financials of the company would be distorted, and accordingly multiples calculated on the basis of distorted financials would also be distorted. Pro forma adjustment for M&As and divestitures. Pro forma adjustment means restating numbers of the company to reflect full impact of particular event. Friends, in case one of the comparable company you are analyzing has made any acquisition in the past, then you would require to restate EV, equity and financials of the comparable company to reflect full impact of acquisition on multiple. In case we don't adjust full impact of acquisition on the multiple we are looking at of the company are not the true multiple, as company's multiple is gonna to be different post acquisition. So ideally we should look at the multiple what company is gonna to have post acquisition. In process of pro forma adjustment, we adjust both numerator, which includes equity or enterprise value, and denominator, which includes sales, EBIT, EBITDA, net income, etc., to factor complete impact of acquisition or divestitures on the multiple. If pro forma adjustment is not done for these announced deal, multiples calculated on the basis of unadjusted numbers will not present true picture of valuation of the company. Friends, impact of pro forma adjustment on multiple is analyzed in the coming slides. Friends, to impact multiples of company for M&As and divestitures so that they present true picture of the valuation of the company in the market, we are required to make following adjustments in its number. Equity value. As equity value is per share market price into number of shares, we are not required to make any adjustment in the per share market price for any M&A or spin-off news, as this news is already factored in the market price. Reason being, we pick market price as on date, and if till date there is any news in the market related to M&As or any disposal of the assets by the company, this news is already factored in the market price. Number of shares. We are required to make adjustment in the number of shares of the company only if both of the following conditions are met. So condition number 1, acquirer is issuing new shares in lieu of acquisition. So it means it's a stock deal where acquirer is paying consideration in form of stock, not in cash, and number of shares of comparable company is not reflecting these new shares being issued in lieu of acquisition. It means the number of shares what you have considered in the calculation of equity value are not affected by the new shares what company is going to issue in lieu of acquisition. So if both these conditions are met, we will change our number of shares, otherwise number of shares will remain same. Next, enterprise value. Enterprise value is equal to equity value plus minority interest, preference capital plus total debt minus cash and cash equivalent and non-operating assets. Friends, we have already discussed adjustment in the equity value in the previous slide. Other sources of capital, which is minority interest, preference capital, total debt, cash and cash equivalent and non-operating assets. These other sources of capital are required to be adjusted only if the date of completion of acquisition or divestiture is later to the date of latest balance sheet of comparable company from where we have sourced these numbers. So, as these numbers, these other sources of capital other than equity are coming from latest balance sheet of the company available on updation date. So if this balance sheet date is later to the date of completion of M&A or spin-off, in that case, balance sheet numbers are already reflecting these M&As or divestiture impact or events. So we are not required to make any further adjustment in these numbers, as these numbers are already restated. But in case these acquisitions are completed later to the balance sheet date, in that case balance sheet numbers are not reflecting impact of these M&As or divestitures, and we are required to make adjustment in these numbers so that they reflect full impact of these events. LTM numbers. Friends, LTM numbers are required to be adjusted in case they are not reflecting full 12-month impact of acquisition and divestitures. So we have to see whether my LTM numbers are reflecting full 12-month impact of M&A or divestiture event or not. Now friends, this will be the case where acquisition is not completed before end date of LTM period. So in case acquisition is completed later to the date of completion of LTM period, in that case my full 12-month adjustment of acquisition is required, as company has not started consolidation of acquisition in its financials since the acquisition has not been completed till the end date of LTM period. But in case acquisition is completed in between LTM period. Means the acquisition completion date is falling within the LTM period date. In that case, adjustment of acquisition would be required only for the period not including impact of acquisition. That is, partial period adjustment would be done, not for the entire 12 months. Friends, from the date of completion of acquisition, acquiring company starts consolidation of financials of the target company in its consolidated financials. So it means from the date of completion of the acquisition, company has already started consolidating financials of target company in its financials. But the period which is not reflecting financials of the target company is the period before the completion of acquisition. So partial adjustment is required only for that period. Estimates. Estimated financials are usually pro forma for corporate events like acquisition and divestiture, so you won't likely to have adjustment in these numbers. Friends, as the estimated numbers are the forecasted numbers, so the moment company announced any M&As or divestitures, so analyst will reflect these events in its projected numbers, and normally projected numbers are adjusted numbers. So generally, we are not required to make pro forma adjustment in the estimated numbers. So friends, let's understand pro forma adjustment and its impact on multiple with an example. Suppose there is a company A in your comparable list which has acquired another company, company B. Now friends, post acquisition, how your company will look like. This is how your company, comparable company will look like. Now it will include both company A and company B. So this is what pro forma look of company AB. Now let's see what would be impact of this acquisition on multiple. Now before acquisition, company A's multiple were EV of A divided by EBIT of A. So as the company A has already announced this acquisition, so if you look at the multiple of company A in isolation without considering impact of this acquisition, these multiple will be distorted as they will not present true picture of the company, because post acquisition company's EV is gonna to be different. It will be consolidated EV of A and B both, and its EBIT is also going to change. So its EBIT will include EBIT of A and EBIT of B. So actually the multiple of the company what will stay in the future would be pro forma 1. So this pro forma multiple presents true picture of the company, not the non pro forma one. So friends, that's why it is important to factor these pro forma event in the multiples of the company. Now friends, let's understand how to make pro forma adjustment with the help of a couple of examples. Case 1. Date of completion of acquisition is 1st July 18. My LTM period is 1st October 18 to 30th September 19. It is covering 12 months, latest 12 months on the updation date, which is 29 Jan 20. Now what pro forma adjustment is required in this case? Equity value. Friends, no adjustment is required in the equity value. Reason being, equity value is already adjusted for this acquisition, as date of completion of acquisition is 1st July 18, whereas my equity value is based on the information dated 30th September 19 and 29 Jan 20. So my equity value is already including impact of this acquisition. Enterprise value. Again, no adjustment is required in the enterprise value as well. Reason being, guys, my enterprise value is calculated as on date, which is 29 Jan 20, based on the information as on 29 Jan 20 and balance sheet data on 30th September 19, which is later to my date of completion. So the balance sheet of 30th September 19 is already including impact of acquisition, so no adjustment is required. LTM financials. Again friends, as you can see, my date of completion is 1st July 18, which is before my LTM period, which is 1st October 18 to 30 September 19. So my LTM period is factoring this acquisition completely, and there is no need for making any adjustment in my LTM period as well. So no pro forma adjustment is required. Case 2. In case 2, as you can see on your screen, date of announcement of acquisition is 1st July 18. So it's announcement date, not the completion date. And date of completion of acquisition is 1st April 19. Now friends, what pro forma adjustment we will do in this case? Other dates are same. My date of updation is 29 Jan 20 as we had in the previous case. Latest balance sheet date or LTM date is 30th September 19. LTM start date is 1st October 18. So now friends, let's see what pro forma adjustment is required in this case. Equity value. Friends, we are not required to make any adjustment in equity value, as my equity value is based on information dated 30 September 19 and 29 Jan 20, which is later to the date of completion of acquisition 1st April 19. So this acquisition is fully factored in my equity value. Enterprise value. Again friends, no adjustment is required in the enterprise value as well. Reason being, my enterprise value is based on the balance sheet data 30 September 19 and the market data dated 29 Jan 20, whereas the date of completion of merger is much before the date of balance sheet and the market date. So this acquisition is fully factored in the EV as well. LTM financials. Friends, in case of LTM financials, we are required to make partial adjustment, not the full 12-month adjustment, partial adjustment for 1st October 18 to 31st March 19. Reason being, as the date of completion of acquisition is 1st April 19, which is this point of time, and now post this point of time, all the financials of the company, which is part of your LTM period, are impacting this acquisition, as the company has already started consolidation post this period. So this part of the LTM period is impacting acquisition effect. Now what is not there in this, what period is not impacted by this acquisition is this part. So in this part of the LTM period, we have to consider impact of this acquisition so that my LTM period reflects full impact of acquisition. So my 1st October 18 to 30th March 19, which is period before the start of consolidation, 6 months, we are required to make pro forma adjustment. But the period later to the completion of acquisition, which is 1st April 19 to 30 September 19, 6 months post acquisition, part of my LTM period, no pro forma adjustment is required, as this period is already adjusted by acquisition impact. Case 3. My date of announcement of acquisition is 1st April 19 and date of completion of acquisition is 1st December 19, which is later to my balance sheet date and LTM completion date. Updation date is same, 29 Jan 20. So let's see what pro forma adjustment is required in this case. Adjustment in the equity value. Friends, adjustment in the equity value would be required only in case there is a change in the number of shares of the company due to this acquisition. So in case it's a stock deal, then we might require to change number of shares of the company due to this acquisition, as date of completion of acquisition is 1st December 19, whereas number of shares coming from the filing dated latest up to 30th September 19. So it is possible that my number of shares are not reflecting impact of new shares what company will issue in lieu of this acquisition. But in case of cash deal, friends, we are not required to make any adjustment in the number of shares, and my equity value will not be impacted by this acquisition. Enterprise value. Friends, adjustment is required in the enterprise value as well, as other than equity, which is already calculated, adjusted above. All other component of EV, which includes debt, preferred capital, minority interest, cash, and non-operating assets, they all are coming from the balance sheet dated 30 September 19, whereas the acquisition completion date is 1st December 19. So it means balance sheet of 30 September 19 is not reflecting impact of acquisition, and we are required to make pro forma adjustment for the same. LTM financials. Adjustment is required for full period of LTM, which is 1st October 18 to 30 September 19. The reason being, guys, this acquisition has been completed on 1st December 19, which is later to my LTM completion date. So my entire 12-month numbers are not impacting impact of acquisition. So full 12-month impact is required to be captured in LTM numbers. Case 4. Date of announcement of the deal acquisition is 1st July 19, and we don't see any date of completion here in this timeline. It means acquisition has not been completed yet. So acquisition is still pending on updation date, which is 29 Jan 20. Now let's see how we adjust numbers here. Equity value. Friends, adjustment would be required in the equity value in case number of shares of the company is changing due to this acquisition. So in case of stock deal, my number of shares will change due to this acquisition. Market price will not change, reason being as this deal is already announced in the market, so my price as on 29 Jan 20 is already reflecting impact of this acquisition. Enterprise value. Again, adjustment is required in the enterprise value as well, reason being other than equity, which is already adjusted above. All other component of EV are coming from the balance sheet dated 30th September 19, till which date acquisition has not been completed. So balance sheet data is not adjusting impact of the acquisition, and we are required to make pro forma adjustment in all numbers of the balance sheet in EV. LTM financials. Adjustment would be required for full LTM period, which is starting from 1st October 18 to 30th September 19. Reason being, guys, same as the acquisition has not been completed before the ending of LTM period. So complete 12 months are not impacted by acquisition, and pro forma adjustment would be required. Next, case number 5. Date of announcement of acquisition is 1st December 19, later to your LTM period date. And as you cannot see any date of completion, it means this acquisition is still pending till my date of updation. Now friends, let's see what adjustment is required in this case. Equity value. Friends, adjustment would be required in the case of equity value only if there is a change in the shares due to this acquisition. So in case of stock deal, number of shares will change as the acquisition has not been completed. So my number of shares are not reflecting impact of this acquisition. Enterprise value. Adjustment would be required as my date of balance sheet is before the date of completion of acquisition. So all the numbers of balance sheet is required to be adjusted. LTM financials. Friends, adjustment would be required for a full LTM period as acquisition has not been completed till the end of LTM period. So full 12-month pro forma adjustment would be required. So friends, as you can see, we have discussed various cases of pro forma adjustment and how this adjustment would be different from case to case. Now, in the next video, we will do pro forma adjustment for comparable companies we have selected for Dr. Pepper. Thank you.